Okay, picture this. You're in the opulent, treacherous court of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Conspiracies are being whispered in every single shadow. But tonight, the pharaoh's personal guard has a serious upgrade. So let's run a little thought experiment. What happens if we drop two modern elite protectors into the ancient world to defend a king?
And man, this quote just nails it, right? The assassins, they're preparing to block a spear thrust. They have absolutely no concept of a tiny piece of metal moving faster than the eye can see. From their point of view, their friends are just dropping, struck down by some invisible force, like a curse. This isn't just a tech gap, their entire understanding of reality just breaks.
So, that's the big question we're digging into here. This isn't just about firepower. It's about tactics, technology, and, maybe most importantly, psychology. Can just two agents, armed with the very best of modern gear, actually hold the line against a whole conspiracy from a different millennium? Let's find out.
To even begin to answer that, you have to wrap your head around the sheer scale of the advantage our agents are working with. I mean, it is so profound that, to anyone from that time period, it wouldn't look like technology. It would look like straight-up magic.
Some folks have tried to quantify this gap, and they came up with a number kind of like this: 23,000 to 1. Think about it. That's like the difference between sending a message with a guy on a horse versus hitting send on a text message that bounces off a satellite. Only here, that gap isn't about convenience. It is literally life and death.
Let's just break down the gear. On one side, the assassin's best weapon is a bronze dagger. That means he has to get right up in your face to use it. Our agent, on the other hand, can neutralize that same guy from across the throne room with a Sig Sauer P226. And hey, even if an assassin manages to get close, that bronze dagger is probably just going to clink right off a Kevlar vest. It's a complete, total mismatch on every level.
And then you get to the tactics, and oh boy, it gets even more lopsided. Let's say the coup goes down at night. The assassins are creeping through halls lit by flickering torches, full of shadows and blind spots. Meanwhile, our agents, using high-def night vision, they own the darkness. While the conspirators are shouting to coordinate, creating a huge racket, our agents are talking silently over encrypted radios. It's just absolute dominance.
You really have to put yourself in the sandals of an ancient Egyptian here. You're not seeing advanced technology. You're seeing men who can kill with a sound like tearing cloth. Men who can see perfectly in pitch-black darkness. Men whose skin can't be cut by your sharpest blade. You're not fighting soldiers. You're fighting demons, or maybe even gods.
All right, so let's run the simulation. The theory is solid, but how does this actually play out? The doors to the pharaoh's inner sanctum just burst open. The conspirators, totally confident in their numbers, they rush in for the kill.
So what's the agent's response? Panic? No way. It's a cold, calculated drill. They've run scenarios just like this 1,000 times. They don't even need to speak. One agent acquires targets, the other provides cover, and together they create what's called a kill zone, an area of overlapping fire that is simply impossible to cross alive.
Now imagine the sensory overload for those assassins. They're expecting the roar of battle, the clang of bronze on bronze. Instead, the room is filled with this weird, sharp hiss. It's a sound that does not belong in their world, and that confusion alone would be terrifying, even before they see what it does.
And this is where the psychological battle is completely won. The assassins see their toughest warriors just collapsing, with these tiny, neat little holes appearing in them, but there's no spear, there's no arrow. Their entire concept of combat is shattered in a split second. In a world where you believe in gods and curses, what other conclusion is there? This is divine punishment.
That phrase just says it all, doesn't it? Violent erasure. The agents aren't fighting with passion or rage. They are methodically, efficiently, and impersonally eliminating threats. One by one, the attackers are just deleted before they're even close enough to be a danger.
So, the first attack is crushed. The throne room is secure. It looks like a complete and total victory. But here's the twist. The agent's greatest advantage, their firearm, is also their greatest vulnerability. Because now, the enemy isn't a man with a spear. The enemy is simple, brutal math. Attrition. It's the cruel, unforgiving logic of every long fight. See, the conspirators have something the agents don't have, a nearly limitless supply of bodies. The entire palace guard could be in on this. They can afford to lose dozens of men just to figure out what's going on. Our agents can't afford to waste a single precious resource. And that resource is ammunition. Between the two of them, carrying extra magazines,
They might have what, maybe 150 rounds? Total? That's 150 potential stops. After the initial shock wears off, you know a clever commander is going to realize the magic has a limit. He'll stop sending men in waves and start sending them one at a time, forcing the agents to trade one bullet for one person.
And this chart, this shows you the whole problem in a nutshell. You have this massive bar, that's all the conspirators. And then you have this tiny, tiny little bar. That's the ammo. Every perfect shot, every neutralized threat just makes that tiny bar a little bit smaller. And the crucial thing is, there's no resupply. When it's gone for good.
And that's the end game. The second that last casing hits the floor, the magic show is over. They're not gods anymore. They're just two extremely well-trained guys with combat knives trapped in a fortress full of enemy soldiers who now know their one big weakness and are, frankly, very angry. The tech advantage has completely vanished.
So after all that, what's the final score? Did they succeed? Did they pull it off? Well, it's not really a simple yes or no. It really depends on how you define success.
So let's look at the scorecard. Did they stop the initial coup? Absolutely. They crushed it. Check. The psychological impact they left behind? It would be legendary. Check. But what about their long-term survival? Yeah, that's a big X. Trapped and out of ammo, they'd eventually be overwhelmed. Their only other legacy would be a baffling mystery for some archaeologists finding 9mm casings in a 3,000-year-old throne room.
So even though they probably wouldn't survive the week, what they did on that one night would make them myths. The story would be told for generations about the Pharaoh's silent, divine guardians who came from nowhere and defeated an army with invisible thunder. They would become a legend.
Their story's over. But man, it gets you thinking, doesn't it? What other modern soldier or piece of equipment could totally change history in a single afternoon? It's a really fun what-if to play with. So where should we go next with this? I've got a few ideas.